Welcome back. This is part 2 of the interview with Stephen Christopher, founder of Seequs. What do you do when you're making tons of money in the mortgage business and then the next day you wake up and you're flat broke? Stephen shares what it was like to go through this, but also how to recover. Sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategies, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute better than 99.99% of the population. If you know what to do, but you struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game and get more done, this podcast is for you. We pick up with part 2 of the interview with Stephen Christopher. What is your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness is I think that I want to help everybody. You know, I see the good in people. I see what they're capable of. What happens is that sometimes I'll spend too much time with somebody that hasn't made the decision that they're ready to change or that they're ready to take their life to the next level. I'll put too much focus on trying to help them. And then what happens is that other people around me don't get the time and the energy that I should be giving them because I'm spending my wheels with somebody that hasn't made the decision. So just wanting to help everybody can really be a weakness for me.
I suffered from that as well. And to an extent now, you know, as I say, I do two things. I do free work and I do very expensive work. I'm very choosy on both of those type of clients. And I just did a recent podcast talking about who's in your boat. We all have passengers in our boats. We have other rowers to help us row. And then we've got that guy or girl that's the anchor. That's at the bottom of the sea, just kind of dragging along. And you try to help him. You're trying to pull up that anchor line, but he's just got his feet dug in. He's got to be a willing participant, or she has to be a willing participant to help get in the boat and get on board. A lot of people don't want to or are not ready to do that yet.
Yeah, that was a good one too, actually. I listened to that earlier today.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know, we all have to hold ourselves accountable and to a higher standard. Who holds you accountable?
I have a couple coaches and mentors that hold me accountable. And then also, probably the biggest thing that holds me accountable is my network. So, you know, like I mentioned, I do a lot of stuff on Facebook, put out videos and things like that. And if I miss a day or if I kind of, fall off, I start to get messages from people like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what's up? Like, do you need anything? Do you need help? Just making sure that you're staying on top of your game and what you're promising to deliver. So my network is pretty powerful for holding me accountable.
What keeps you up at night?
Right now, I would say I don't know if fear is the right word or concern or something, but the thought of growth and growth specifically within my company. We're about to make some really big pushes to grow. And so that little voice in the back of my head that says like, okay, well, what if it doesn't work? And I have to be really conscious of kind of getting rid of that voice or just asking questions like, okay, well, how can I best prepare if something doesn't work? But yeah, growth is exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah, I think so many people think that once you've gotten your business to a certain level, it just kind of runs itself. Everything's good. You don't have any more concerns. The concerns and the fears are still there. The more that you have, the more fear of loss there is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the larger you get, the more people you have within your company. I mean, you're responsible for their livelihood.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Scary.
It is. And as business owners, we've all been there on a Friday and it's like, uh-oh, I've got payroll to make. I don't know how I'm going to make this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's this balancing act of pushing the envelope just enough, but also making sure that you have, stability in the basics that you're required to run the company.
Yeah, no question. If you had a hour to spend with someone dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you ask him or her?
Ooh, that's a good one. It would be Mark Cuban. I haven't really thought this through, so this will be kind of fun to see what pops up for me. But it'd be Mark Cuban because he's grown so many companies through, perseverance, persistence, and not caring about what anybody else thinks. And, he gets a lot of grief for that. A lot of people don't like him for that reason, but I think that's a really powerful mindset that especially business owners should learn from. And I'd love to talk to him just about, like how did you do that? How did you know what decisions to make and not worry about other people? Or how did you get that mindset of just push through no matter what and not pay attention to the naysayers?
I love it.
Now you got me curious. Now I'm going to have to write down a list of questions and try to get in touch with him.
Tell us about the worst advice you've ever been given, personally or business-wise, that you actually took because you didn't realize it was bad advice.
I don't know exactly where I got it from. I think I was probably reading something, but it was talking about, taking on debt to grow. I don't know if maybe I just didn't read it correctly or understand it. But when I was growing the mortgage company, we were making money, but we took on debt to kind of keep growing. And I really didn't know enough about business back then when I started my mortgage company. But taking on that debt in order to grow and not having a really strategic plan. And then when the bottom fell out, I was instantly overnight over $100,000 in debt with no money coming in. So I would say the worst advice is really taking on debt for the wrong reasons to grow.
What was your biggest hurdle that you needed to overcome in that situation?
At the time, it was figuring out a way to make money so I could put gas in my car so I could go look for another job.
And how did you do it?
When that happened, I took a job making $20,000 a year as a sales guy and just sucked it up and made just enough to scrape by. And then that's when I started really reading the whole personal development books, listening to personal development CDs, and then realizing that the universe, at least in my opinion, is set up for success. We're all set up to win. We just have to accept that and not get in our own way. Yeah, that's what I did back then.
Tell us 5 things that you need to get done this year.
One is I need to finish and create the vivid vision for our company, which is, so we have some really big goals to hit by December of 2019. And I'm creating a document that basically describes what that looks like in the future. That's a huge one for me, and I'm actually almost done with it. So you're kind of keeping me accountable by making me say this out loud.
Well, not me, just all the listeners.
Yeah, exactly, right? So hopefully by the time this airs, it might actually be done. That's one. I need to, we're going to buy a second home and start renting it out to start creating our future or, kind of our wealth and our investments. So we're going to buy a second home this year. I need to hire 2 more people at my company. I have some fitness goals. I kind of let some things slide when we were growing. So I have some specific fitness goals that I'll achieve through the rest of this year. And then 5th is I have one that I can't share publicly.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I have another one, but I'm not going to share it because, there's some reasons why I can't.
Sure. All right. Bring us back to a time in your life when you needed to start or stop something in order to perform at a higher level. What brought you to that decision?
Before I started this company, I owned another digital marketing company, and it was with a partner. We were 50-50 partners, and we were coming to a point where we were starting to be successful, and we just kind of both had different ideas of what you do with your time and money when you become successful and how much you push to continue growing the business. What happened is that I kind of just got caught in this place of indecision where I was just working really hard, pretending like this issue wasn't there and it wasn't getting bigger and bigger. And so I needed to stop being afraid that by bringing this issue up and potentially, separating the company or whatever that result was going to be, stop being afraid of it and just do it. And that was a big, when it happened, it was a lot less scarier than I thought it was. And it worked out really, really well in the end. But yeah, I needed to stop being fearful of what might happen.
And was there something that occurred that just one day said, this is it? What was that turning point?
Yeah, it was basically it was stress. I mean, it just got to the point where it was balling up so much to where it was like it just consumed me. I mean, I couldn't think about anything else. I wasn't functioning well. I wasn't doing a good job. I wasn't helping my team. And it just got to the point one day where I was like, oh man, like done. Nothing could be worse than the feeling that I have right now. So I just need to address this and get it all out.
If you had the ability to go back and talk to the 13-year-old Steven, what would you tell him?
Man, if I could go back and talk to myself at 13, I would say follow your instinct, because when I was 13, I'd started my first business right around 13 or 14, and nobody in my family really knew anything about entrepreneurship or owning a business. The advice that they gave me was like, okay, cool, this is a fun little thing you're doing, but just remember, start saving money to go to college and then find a job and then work there for 60 years or whatever, then retire and then go do the fun things you want. I listened to that because I didn't know any better. And so if I could tell my 13-year-old self something, it would be, look, follow your intuition. This whole business and entrepreneur thing is awesome. You're really good at it. Do it. Do what you feel like you should be doing. I'd be in a completely different place right now. Granted, I'm appreciative for everything I've learned, but yeah, man, I mean, if I had truly become an entrepreneur like around high school, which I kind of thought I could, it'd be pretty cool.
What I want you to do now is, you are an SEO guru master. I want you to share just a couple things with the audience that they can implement if they have a business, to implement into their business along the lines of SEO.
Oh, cool, man. So some of the most simple things when it comes to your website, so for anybody that doesn't know what SEO is, it stands for search engine optimization. And basically it's the art of making your website show up in search results when somebody's looking for your product or service. When it comes to SEO, there's a couple things that you should know. One, your website should be mobile friendly. That's huge. Google made a change to the way that their algorithm worked in about a year and a half ago now. And basically, they won't show your website if it's not mobile friendly. And there's a ton of people that haven't updated their sites. So make sure your website's mobile friendly. You can Google mobile friendly checker. And there's this little thing that you put in your website and it'll tell you if it's mobile friendly or not. But that's huge. So many people just don't do that. So make sure it's mobile friendly. And it'll also give you some information on how fast your website is, because the faster your site is, the more likely it is going to be that it'll show up higher in results, because Google wants to show websites that are user friendly. And nobody likes to go to a slow website. And then just the basics of good old fashioned putting keywords in your website. Make sure that if you're a plumber, make sure you talk about plumbing and the different plumbing services that you're offering, because Google, even though it's super, super smart, it's still a robot. It's still just reading letters strung together to make words and words strung together to make phrases. So make sure you're talking about whatever it is that you want to be found for throughout the content of your website. I could talk about this stuff for hours, but those are some of the super basic things that I see people missing on their sites.
Tell the audience how they can get a hold of you to get some more information.
Cool. So you can visit our website at seequs.com. That's SEEQUS.com. There's actually even a free tool on the homepage of our site. You can put in your website domain, a couple keywords that you want to show up for, and then it'll give you this whole report that kind of tells you what's going on, what errors you might have on the site. So if you're interested, you can check that out. And then I love talking about all this stuff. If you ever have questions or anything that I can do to help personally, you can email me, Stephen, STEPHEN, at seequs.com.
Thank you. All right, we are at the point in the show that we call the rapid fire execution round. Stephen, in 1873, Cattleman designed a .22 revolver that had 12 shots. You're from Colorado, where firearms are everywhere. We're going to give you 12 questions to answer in under 2 minutes. We've already addressed why 2 minutes, because if you can get it done in 2 minutes, just knock it out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Name a profession you'd like to attempt other than your own.
Captain of a boat.
The most meaningful book you've ever read.
U Squared by Price Pritchett.
Name one decision in business you wish you never made.
Have a 50-50 partnership.
Most useful app you're currently using.
Rev for recording and transcribing audio.
Name the best decision in business you've ever made.
Never giving up.
Your favorite thing to do when you're not working.
Off-road in the mountains.
One thing you must do every single day.
Meditate.
Name the one skill that you're most proud of.
highly tuned intuition.
Name one thing you'd like to learn in the next 6 months.
Russian.
How old were you when you knew you could be successful?
12.
One thing you were told that turned out to be the most true.
You can do anything that you want.
Name one thing you did poorly last year, but do better this year.
I hesitated to start doing things in business that I know that I could do. Hesitated too much.
Name the person that invented SEO and the hometown which he was born in.
Oh, geez, man. Who invented SEO?
All right,
Stephen
that was just
Christopher, Denver, Colorado.
There you go. Just throw it in there. You were doing too good, so I had to throw one in there.
That's awesome, man.
Great job.
Cool.
Stephen, before we go, give us some parting advice to the listeners.
Here's something to think about that I think a lot of us forget. We allow ourselves to get caught up in the little things that are going on in our life, right? I mean, we get caught up in our task list and what we have to do today, and the fact that, most of us have a task list that's longer than anything we'll ever actually be able to do. But remember that this is life, and we only have one of them, at least as far as we know. When this is over, life is over, and it's really short. So pay attention to just enjoying the experiences that you're having, because that's really what life is about. We don't know if we're going to have tomorrow. We don't know if we're going to die in 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years. So don't get caught up too much in the little things that really don't matter, and just enjoy it. Enjoy life.
Well said. I love it.
Cool.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to having you on a future episode.
Yeah, Thor, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate all of your listeners for taking time out of their day. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this is going to be a little bit different than our normal format. Instead of having a question of a day and call to action, I'd like you to go back and re-listen to Stephen's parting words, and then just spend some time doing some self-introspective thinking and really maximizing every moment that we have here. Again, thank you for listening today. If you've not already subscribed to the show, please go to iTunes, subscribe, download all 30 episodes. Please share this information with friends, families, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. Email, if you have any questions, is info@thorconklin. Remember, these episodes are designed to be consumed during dot time doing other things. So when you're driving or commuting or working out or walking or jogging, listen to these episodes. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.